Hi Mia. The first thing we need to do to get you practicing your excerpt is for you to mark your part so that it agrees with mine. So come here. What we're going to do is I'm going to have you look. I put a few things in. I put a flat here by this B flat on the second bar. Over here, I wrote in thumb position for this place where it's in tenor clef and a first finger, so you remember that. Then here's letter A. You already knew that. Okay, then we keep going here. And then I have a letter B right here, where it does kind of the same thing just like letter A. You need to put a letter B right there, and then a sharp at the end of this bar, so you remember that G sharp. Okay, we're gonna keep going. And then down here, right after the scale that goes all the way up to the A, you need a letter C. That way when we practice these things, you know what I'm talking about. Next line, I have this fingering right here. Make sure you have that in your part. And then letter D here. Okay? And then here, I marked that this right here, this bit with the B's and B's flats, this is in half position. 1 and then a 2. And then here's letter E right here, right after that. And then these are the fingerings right after that. Okay, and then down here, I put the 4 and the 2 for this part. So before you go any further, I want you to pause this video, maybe go back a few times and make sure that you have all of these things in the score so that when we practice together, you can make sure that you're in the same part I'm in and you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, so the first thing we're going to practice is the very opening section that goes from the very beginning to letter A. A couple of things that you have to remember about this section. Number 1 is in the second scale that starts on the E. You need to remember the B flat right there, and then you need to remember after that one, the 1 in thumb position, where you go into tenor clef, that your thumb and your 1 need to be right next to each other because this B flat is right next to the A. They kind of need to be touching. If you don't and you put your thumb here, your harmonic isn't going to work because it's going to be right here. Okay, so I'm going to play this. I'm going to play it a little bit slowly, but play it with really, really good pulse and rhythm, and that's exactly how I want you to practice it. So practice it many times the way I'm showing you right now, and it would be really good practice for you to play it back in the video and then play it, and then play it back in the video and then play it for yourself. That would be a really good way to practice it. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. That's the section. I'm going to do it one more time. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. So now we're going to go to the next section, which is from letter A to letter B. I'm going to start basically right where I stopped. I'm trying to think of what things there were in this for you to remember. Not much. You have to make sure that the scale at the very end, make sure that that scale goes all the way to the G, and you need to make sure you just have really, really good pulse and rhythm. Those 16th notes have to be exactly 16th notes the whole time. So I'm going to play it now. That's the section. I'm going to do it again for you. That was from A to B. Please just do as the previous section. You play it in the video for yourself, and then you play it and back and forth. Okay, letter B. It's the same thing. Remember in this one, I gave you that sharp at the end of the second bar after B, that make sure that you play another G sharp there. Have it marked in the part, and make sure when you practice this that you do it. And then the scale at the end, make sure you go all the way to the harmonic. I'm going to play it for you now. actually, we should probably go all the way to the downbeat. I'm going to do it again. Yep, I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, so that was from letter B to letter C. Now from letter C to letter D. I don't think there were any particularly weird fingering. I'm going to play this one a little bit slower, just slightly, so you can practice hearing all the notes and make sure it's in tune. Same thing again. And it's a good practice to do what I just did, where in the rest you go, to make sure you practice having a good pulse there. Okay, next section is from D to E. It's similar in the beginning to letter C, but we have here at the end of this one, and this one, remember you're going to be in half positions for these B's and B's flats, because I don't want you doing this. Things very easily get very out of tune when you're doing that. So instead, you're going to put your 1 on the B flat, and you're going to put your 2 where the 1 normally goes on the B natural in this section. And then at the very end of it, you're going to take your 1 from the B flat to the B, so that you're back in regular first position for the C sharp right at letter E. Also, in the third bar here, make sure you just play the top notes. Don't worry about the bottom ones. You don't have to play. You don't have to do that here. You could if you wanted to, but you don't need to. Okay, I'm going to play this one. Last section, which goes from letter E all the way to the place where you're supposed to stop after the D flats. There's really nothing weird here. Make sure that you remember those notes at the end, those D flats, they're not D sharps. The D flat is the same thing as your C sharp. And if you put your 4 on it here, on that high 4, and you cross with your 2 all the way to the A string, he's going to be on that D flat. So once you're here, you just put your 2 down and you have both of those notes. I'm going to just play it now from letter E. Do it a few more times. Maybe one more.